Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Alderson Smith. If you are looking at your apps right now, I am not Alfred Johnson. Alfred Johnson had to leave, so I'm stepping in. But I'm a founding member of the Crux team, generally helping folks meet on our platform to essentially transact with transferable tax credits.
And then I am Adam Kabulski, so no change here. Really appreciate everyone joining. You never know what turnout's going to be like on a Thursday late in a show. It's been a busy week, and it's tax, so it's either really exciting to people or not exciting, but good turnout. We appreciate it. This is a topic we're, extremely vested in, interested in. So I am the Vice President of Global Sales and Marketing for EPC Power. So I've been with the company 2.5 years. I'm filling in for our CFO right now, so normally technical and commercial topics here. I'll do my best on the tax side. This has been a huge driver for us.
So we're really excited to talk about the anatomy of a tax credit deal today. We're going to talk about a deal that EPC Power and Crux did together to place their 2023 and 2024 advanced manufacturing or 45X tax credits. And we're really, really excited to chat about that today. Before we get started, Adam, do you want to tell us a little bit about the products and services essentially that you guys have, and specifically talking about which ones are applicable to 45X and which may not be?
Yeah, and I've read the IRA bill like 20 times, and I did it over the course of like 3 years, every iteration. So you learn how to figure out what's real to our industry, what people know about your product, and then how important the definitions are and the understanding of IRA is in this process. So like the simple answer is we're a manufacturer of inverters, right? It seems like a really simple thing. Everyone knows what inverters are. There's half a dozen companies, including us here. We make the thing that turns DC from one source into AC, like simple thing. In IRA parlance, we manufacture commercial inverters, utility inverters, and central inverters. And each one of those have a different 45X credit. It's based on voltage, it's based on capacity, it's based on ability to connect to solar. There's, I want to say 800 pages in the IRA bill. There's 32 references to inverters, and it's like 2 paragraphs. So what is tens of millions of dollars of opportunity for us comes down to just a couple short, poorly defined paragraphs. And we spent a lot of time, and having a partner like Crux that understood and could scale with us was really, really helpful. But yeah, just to the U.S. manufacturing part, we manufacture equipment in San Diego County, California, so Poway specifically. It's a 2 gigawatt factory. We manufacture solar and storage inverters. And then because of IRA and because of the tax credits and the benefits, we were able to start a second factory in Greenville, South Carolina. So we now have factories on both coasts. I think by several gigawatts, we're the largest manufacturer in the US. So legislation and the transferability was huge for us.
Can you tell us a little bit more about kind of how you guys reacted to the initial passage of the IRA? And specifically, did you kind of know how transformative it would be for your business?
It's so hard. Like anyone who saw it coming is probably lying. So we were cautiously optimistic. We were hopeful. We were following it closely. I was born and raised in West Virginia, so I was working with Manchin's office. We were talking about the benefits of it. And this was a bill that came down to a swing vote. So we were sweating it to the very end. And we're a 14-year-old company. We were in the US for reasons other than manufacturing tax credits. But this was a boon to us. This helped us scale. This helped us catch up to the global players. It's everything it meant to be. So we were extremely hopeful that it was going to pass, but built a business without it and knew how quickly we could scale if it did come through.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see kind of how transformative it's been for certain businesses, and we'd love to help you out on this. You're in an interesting category, right? Because advanced manufacturing 45X credits, they qualify for direct pay. So knowing that they qualify for direct pay, can you kind of talk about a little bit about some of the benefits to transferability and why you guys actually went the transferability route rather than going full direct pay?
Yeah, and it was something we debated, and we debated hard, and we do, for next year as well. It's speed. For us, it's speed. We're a scaling company. We do have an investment from Goldman Sachs, so we have a strategic partner that's obviously well-funded, but we still operate on our own, and we don't have the backing, and we're not public like some of our competitors. So the ability to transfer and get paid quickly let us scale quickly. And this is, as everyone that's in this industry knows, it's scale, it's speed to market. So the ability to get that 1 year sooner is massive to a company doubling every year.
That makes a lot of sense, and we're happy that we could help you out. So more on that. Why, there's a lot of potential ways to do this, bilateral deals, kind of more traditional brokers. Why did you guys choose a technology platform to transact your 45X credits?
Yeah, and we get asked often with the Goldman relationship, they could have connected us to people, right? They could have connected us to one or two parties, but working with Crux, we got optionality. And we got 8 interested parties. We got more options, and we had someone who understood the process and moved quickly like we did. So instead of going the traditional route, slower, safer, we got options. We moved quickly. We got some really creative deals, custom tailored to us. It was just a perfect fit, and Crux, held our hand along the way.
Appreciate that. We know that your credits were extremely popular. Oh yeah, that came up good. And bids came in within the first few minutes and few days of listing. How did you guys kind of evaluate those bids, down select? What was that process like?
I mean, it was a lot of, in a sense, a procurement exercise. You do a lot of the things of we're first vetting customers. We're looking how mature they are. So there were some extremely mature, seasoned buyers. There were some that were newer. So us as a smaller company, the maturity was really important. And from there, you whittle down to a 4 or 5, and then you start looking at what are they offering, right? And so this is now basic economics. So what was the amount they're offering? Did they require insurance? Yes or no? How creative were they on the payment mechanism? Was it an annual basis? Was it quarterly? And looked at everything that helped us scale. So it wasn't one like we didn't pick the highest bidder. We didn't pick the company that made it fastest necessarily. It was multifaceted. We looked at each factor, but it was extremely important of who could close quickly, who has done transfer deals before, and who was ready to close because we wanted to scale. We needed the money, scale, scale, scale. So everything was considered.
Cool. That's really helpful to know. And yeah, I think closing quickly is an important factor, right? It's a lot of people think that all of these deals are predicated just on price, but the ability to close quickly, sometimes the credit quality of the buyer, especially in your case with a multi-year deal, right? There are other factors out there that really matter. I want to talk about preparing for a transaction here. How did you prepare due diligence information to maximize getting a transaction done quickly and being able to close quickly? And also, if you can, talk a little bit about whether or not you guys needed insurance, how you thought about that process. Like, how did you de-risk the transaction for the buyer?
Yeah, and this is, in market and technology, first mover advantage is a good thing. And this we viewed it as a negative. We were one of the first to do it. We certainly started earlier than most. So we had to de-risk this brand new thing that we didn't know what the appetite was as much as possible. We wanted to make us as attractive as possible. We wanted to make our credits as attractive as possible. So we built a very robust data room, reams of data into it, everything that could possibly be asked, technical data, background on the company, scale, growth profile, market trajectory, market share, like everything that's imaginable to make us look very attractive, digestible, well understood, put in a data room. And then the insurance piece that you talked on. So we debated it ad nauseum of, do we need insurance on this or not? And hindsight's one thing, but at the time, brand new credit, no one had transacted. The fact that there was a market out there that could insure our credits, as the first time there's been a 45X type credit specific to inverters with very little guidance, we opted for insurance. So it cost something to us, but we also felt it made us attractive. So now the potential buyers have 100% confidence that these are real credits. They can do 2 levels of diligence. We did our own diligence. We showed it's real. We showed we complied. And then we convinced an insurance company of that as well. And then we had the insurance package to transfer as part of it. It was layers on layers of diligence in advance of ever talking to Crux or anyone, so that we just came in, had everything ready, and that's also what led to a quick close.
Yeah, and I think you guys also really paved the way for a lot of the other folks that are getting advanced manufacturing credits, transacted really quickly. We're seeing potentially less and less of a role for insurance, although it remains to be seen exactly how that's going to occur. Understanding that the insurance piece was a big internal debate, and it was, somewhat expensive to procure. What other things were potentially, painful about the kind of diligence process? What were the things that you guys were focused on and wish you had done differently potentially?
It was the unknown. So we prepared for everything because you're talking to a diverse audience about a very technical thing, both financially technical and then engineering-wise technical, and the unknown of what questions were going to get asked and having to have robust data to present it. So, and I got pulled in from a sales point of view. We pulled in our engineering, our CTO, our CEO. Like everyone is pulling together data. So it's pulling away from our core business, but it's something that allowed us to just leap ahead, so it was worth it. But the hardest thing was all of us, almost quitting our jobs for like 30 days or our day to day that pays the bills and focusing just on this because of how important it was and how new it was. And it doesn't feel like we were doing something new and it's, in a small way historic, but you look back on it and you're like, oh, we were doing something brand new and it was really fun.
Yeah, and it does pay the bills at the end of the day a little bit.
It did okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let's talk about the negotiation of the documents, right? These deals typically have kind of two documents that are associated with them. We have something that's a term sheet that's standard, and then we're seeing different names for it. At Crux, we call it a tax credit transfer agreement. Can you talk about what the most critical deal terms were that were really important for you, and that you spent the most time thinking about negotiating at either the term sheet process or the tax credit transfer agreement process?
Yeah, the first barrier that we set was the 2 year. So you talked about the fact that we did 23 and 24. That was a huge differentiator for us because we knew we could at least get through the first 2 years of the transfer decision was easier. Direct pay for us gets a little harder in 25 and beyond. So being able to bundle it together and someone having an appetite for both years was extremely important for us. And then again, the maturity, like how mature is the buyer? And you see that through the terms. And then kind of being overly generic, the creativity of the terms. So when we're paid, how we're paid, the amount we're paid. We saw a lot of creativity. And again, we were building factories, we're buying capital equipment, we're buying products. So the ability to get cash sooner was extraordinarily important.
Yeah, and you guys were absolutely really a first mover in this market, right? One of the first deals that I knew about, and I'm spending my entire day thinking about these sorts of things. Do you think that the next deal will be easier, given all of the learnings that you've had and the market's had since then?
Yeah. I mean, we did in 45 days, which is fast. And in hindsight, we're now learning that's extremely fast. There was, 90 days of prep before that clock started. So we don't have to do the 90 days anymore. And a lot of the 45 days was just us learning, right? Evaluating deals, learning what was a good deal or a bad deal. Now that the market is more popular and more people have transacted, we've got a better basis of what is a, great deal, what's a good deal. So we'll be able to decide and close even faster than the 45 because of what we learned from ourselves and others.
Yeah, and that it makes a lot of sense because we've been learning some of these same things at Crux too. We just closed one in 22 days, and so we're hoping maybe we can get this even faster and faster. But speaking of that 45 days, that is still a very fast time frame for most deals, right? Not all of them are going to get done that fast. And we've talked a little bit about what you've done. Can you provide any other insights to, all of the manufacturers here when they're potentially getting ready to sell their 45X? What can they be doing to achieve deal timelines kind of at that scale and speed?
And not just because we're on stage together, but using someone like Crux is huge. They have done it more times than anyone else because they're helping so many parties. So I would absolutely recommend working with Crux. They were phenomenal. I mean, they paid their value many times over. So having a partner that has done it is priceless. And I would recommend to anyone to use Crux. We were very happy with that. Outside of that, it's a lot of prep, right? It's typical business prep of put together your data room, put together all of the supporting data you think you need and most of what you don't think you need. Like again, depending on what manufacturing line you're in, there's very little definition even now with guidance. So put together 10 times what you think is going to get asked because it will get asked at some point and it will have value, and the ability to keep moving forward and not having to pause is priceless. So prepare well ahead, learn from others. Now that, again, you can talk to Crux about it, you can get an idea of valuation. Some people have publicly announced what it is, so get an idea of what a good price is. And then think about what's important to you. So I talked about what was important to us. Is the multi-year important? Make that decision early. Don't wait for the optionality. Make the decision of exactly what you want. Pick the kind of buyer you want, and then whittle down quickly. Don't shop 8 companies the entire way. It's just too much. Know your KPI, focus on them, get down to a couple, negotiate and close.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I mean, we have a term internal at Crux that we call highly transactable supply. When you guys showed up, you were highly transactable supply, but it doesn't mean that everybody needs to be, right? You can come in early before you're thinking about getting ready to transact, talk to people like us or others in the industry that have done lots of these deals and figure out what it means to get one done, where it's going to price out, et cetera. Thank you very much. This is great.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.